Kia ora.
Kia ora, morning, Susie.
Why run this listening campaign for small business?
Look, pretty simply because we're starting our policy process proper today, and this is the first one. We'll do other areas as well, about one every month or so. And the process we're going to follow is listen, then discussion documents next year, and then very clear policies into 2020. And I suppose it's really about, for us, learning the lessons of this government with the working groups and so on, making sure we're clear on what we're doing right into election rather than after it with the working groups and the like.
What are your new ideas that you're bringing to the table?
Well, I think what we're doing in the first part is have your say. And so we look at it and we say, actually the government has an absence of leadership when it comes to SMEs, the cost, the compliance, the taxes, the uncertainty. Look, a big Air New Zealand type company may be able to handle it, but the SMEs, it can literally kill them week by week. So we'll be asking questions like, what are the policies that worry you most? What's the sort of priority order you would like to see from us in terms of RMA reform or industrial law reform or building, health and safety and the like, and a sense of how they'd like to interact with government agencies, which ones they like and so on, to then, as I say, put out a discussion document next year which gives a sense of some real policies that come from the consultation.
Okay, so at this stage then you're not actually putting anything new on the table, you're literally just wanting small business to come to you to say what they want.
Yeah, but some reasonably granular questions. And I think, the point that I would make is right now, you've got an absence of leadership on these issues. You saw the Business Advisory Council set up last week by the Prime Minister. That's all nice and well, but it was big end of town. SMEs are the ones who are doing it tough. They're the ones driving that business confidence plummeting. And that's why, we want to be out there listening to them so that we get it right if we have the privilege to be government in 2020.
Okay, a couple of things in that. One is that it's not been revealed exactly the makeup of this business council, but also the government, isn't it already listening to small businesses with the Minister Stuart Nash's small business council that was put together last month?
Well, I think in truth, if they were listening, they wouldn't be proceeding headlong with their industrial law reforms. They wouldn't be doing what they're doing in overseas investment. They wouldn't be doing what they're doing around immigration. There's a bunch of areas where I just hear it every day. Businesses, the smaller ones, whether it's in Kawerau, whether it's Nelson, whether it's in Auckland actually for that matter, are doing it tough. And we want to say, look, actually, we've got your back, we're listening to you, and we'll develop policies off the back of what it is you tell us.
You've got their back, you say. If National was so concerned about small business, why is there no mention of small business in your economic development policy from last year?
Oh, look, I think, if I went through it and I went through the business growth agenda, you would find dozens and dozens of things we were doing that weren't particularly sexy, but added up to an enabling environment.
There's nothing in the policy. I've read it this morning about small business.
Look, I'd be surprised by that, but I suppose ultimately good policy rather than anti-growth policy, certainty rather than 150-something working groups in the moment is the sort of thing I would expect these businesses to tell me. But I do want to get more granular than that. I'd like to understand from them their kind of priorities and legislative reform that we might have, what agencies they think are working well for them in government, what aren't, what it may mean for R&D and what they'd like to see in those areas. Because it is, the chance we have in opposition to do that so that we are refreshing and giving a very clear sense of what we do in 2020.
Yeah, because you were the Economic Development Minister in the last government.
Sure.
And you're now saying that you are not putting any new ideas on the table. You need small business to tell you what to do.
Well, look, I think we've got a strong record. We were creating 10,000 jobs a month. We were growing an economy very strongly, business and government together. I think right now what's driving the falling off a cliff really in business confidence is SMEs who are doing it tough, who are worrying. We want to be out there, as I say, having their back, listening to them. I have very clear sense of the sort of things I think they'll probably tell us, but there's no use just doing that. Actually, we want to hear it from them and then develop our discussion document and policies off the back of it.
Criticising the government too for all the working groups, but it has to be said that this does look rather similar.
Well, it's very clear. I want to learn the lesson from this government. I want to do the work in opposition so that people have a very clear sense that we'll do what we say, we'll say what we do, and we won't do other things.
But you can hardly criticise the government for setting up working groups and then do one yourself.
No, we are doing it right now so that if we have the privilege of being government, we don't have to then. If you're government, and what you do is have business advisory council that meets every couple of years, small business advisory group, tax working group, etc., etc. You are creating an environment of deep uncertainty, a sense of unrest. I don't want to do that. I want to do it now so people know the choices and what we'll do at the next election.
OK, a couple of quick things before you go. On Chelsea Manning, Michael Woodhouse said he would have denied the visa if he was the minister. Do you back his comments that Chelsea Manning shouldn't have been allowed to come to New Zealand?
He's got strong views on that and he's entitled to them. What I would say to you, well, what I would say is pretty simple. Actually, I don't care where you are on the political spectrum, whether you're hard left, hard right. Freedom of speech matters and you should be able to do that. All of that said, I do think there is an issue of the immigration rules here. Now, if Chelsea Manning is allowed to come to New Zealand on the rules, good for her. She should get out there and say what she wants from the rooftop. If, though, what the government has done is bent the rules for her, I would like to understand why that is. I think it's a slightly different issue than the free speech one that, look, I feel strongly about and, I've staked my claim on.
OK, what about Judith Collins' comments that Manning was a traitor whose actions led to people losing their lives or having them put in danger? That's not actually true. So do you support her using fake news again?
Well, I haven't gone through and read Chelsea Manning's Wikipedia page. I don't know the ins and out of everything that she's done. My basic sense of it is, though, she was convicted of very serious crimes. Now, President Obama commuted those sentences, but they are serious matters. And that's really my point. Free speech is incredibly important, but you also have to have rules.
Do you back her using fake news, though? Because it's not the first time in the last few weeks.
I would argue it's not fake news. Actually, if you look at what Chelsea Manning's history is and what has happened there, Judith Collins is entitled to say what she said.
OK, but that's not actually what was ever proven in court. On the leak of your expenses, have you found the leaker yet?
I haven't had much to do with it in the last week or so. I've handed it over to Jerry Brownlee and Paula Bennett, who are running the process on that. Look, in terms of those questions, they're obviously, Susie, valid and important ones, but I don't have any progress for you today. OK,
but I mean, the police know who it is. This is apparently someone either within your caucus or very close to it, who has potentially quite serious sounding mental health issues. How do you not know?
Well, that's the point, though, Susie. What you've just said, I don't think we can establish. The police, when I've talked to them, have given me no sense of who this person is. We'll do our bit. As I say, Jerry Brownlee and Paula Bennett will run a process so that I can focus on the important things like free speech, the economy, small businesses and the like. And I hope that we'll be able to have the answers to the questions you're asking in due course.
OK, you were seeking privacy waivers from all your MPs on this so you could conduct the inquiry. Did you get all of those or did anyone turn you down?
I'm not entirely sure of exactly where that is. My basic sense, though, is that all MPs have signed up for that.
You're sure about that?
I think there was an issue with a small number, a handful of MPs being offshore, but my basic sense is all MPs, or next to nearly all MPs, have signed up to that. But look, Jerry Brownlee and Paula Bennett would have that sort of detail.
Appreciate your time. That's Simon Bridges, the leader of the National Party, at 7:45.